So Xcode shows it to you as a red file reference, and once we build it and it can find that file there, it'll turn black, showing you that it's found the build product of your project. We can go ahead and click on the main.c file to open it up. If you double click on it, it'll open it right up. Or we can close that, and if you click on the editor button in the toolbar, we can open up an embedded editor in the detail pane on what we have selected. Let's go up to the build menu, and let's open the build results window. We're about to build this project, and this window will show us the result of the build. So the first thing we may want to do is, you notice above the splitter there are a few little widgets there, and Chris Espinoza showed you those earlier, one of those. Well, the first one we want to check is a little check mark on the left, and that'll tell it to show us all the information about the build even after it's completed. So it's not going to just zoom by and not show that information after it's finished. So we're going to turn that on. And now we can go ahead and click the little build hammer in the toolbar, and it'll build our project. You can see the steps that it's done there, and our build has succeeded. Now if we want to see a little more detail, you can click that little text widget, another one of those little boxes, and we'll see the actual commands that Xcode has sent to GCC, which is our C compiler. If we go ahead and click the Run button, it'll go ahead and run our project, and it prints Hello World. No big surprise. Let's go back to our slides. So you may have noticed that there was a little bullseye icon in the Groups and Files pane called Targets. What's a target, and what's the difference between your projects and your targets? Well, a project contains references to all the files related to your deliverable. So my deliverable might be an application that I'm linking against a couple frameworks. I have to build my frameworks. I have to build my application. We generally recommend that you'd put those, all the source files, if your frameworks are really just for that one application, in one project. You have all the files there that you can refer to, and your project can contain other ancillary files that you're not necessarily going to compile, like notes. It'll contain your resource files, everything related to your project. Now the target is what actually processes your source files. It compiles them. It'll take your resource files and copy them to the correct place. So your target just contains the files that it processes, and it produces one build product. So I'd have a target for a framework, a different target for my application. Every different build product has its own target, and the target just contains references to the files which are relevant, which it will process for that target. Your project also contains general settings that you're going to use for all of your development, for everything for this deliverable. A target contains the settings that are specific to that one target. And the project contains all the targets that you're going to use with that project. Likewise, a target contains a series of build phases which process your files. If this sounds a little confusing, let's go to a demo and show you what I mean. So we're going to open up our temperature converter project. This is an application which will convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius for us, but we need an actual converter in a framework that it'll link against to provide it with the actual conversion routine. Now you see, if we disclose that, we've disclosed that targets group, you can see there's one target. It's represented by the little application icon. And that represents the application we have in our project. What we're going to want to do here is add a second target, which will build our framework. So this project will have two targets in it. It's also possible to put each of your targets in a separate project and use cross-project references between them. But if all your targets are related to one deliverable, we recommend you put them in the same project. So let's go ahead and add a new target. We're going to go up to the project menu, and we're going to say new target. And we'll get an assistant that's very similar to what we had earlier, with the new project assistant. Here we can select what type of target we're going to build. Unlike the project assistants, these don't come with template files to get you started, but they do come, it does create a target with the right settings initially for the type of product that that target is going to build. Here we're going to create a Cocoa framework. So let's select the Cocoa framework. And we'll go ahead and click Finish, or we'll name our target first. This is going to build the Converter framework, so we name it Converter. You see there's a pop-up which will let you choose which project to add this target to, but we only have one open project. Let's go ahead and finish. And we're going to close the info panel it's open for us. And you can see it's added a second target. This target has a different icon because it's of a different type. This is not an application target, it's a framework target. Well, what's in a target? I said earlier that there were build phases. Let's go ahead and click the disclosure triangle next to the application target. You can see that there are 3 build phases. Those phases process the files that the target needs to process to build its product. These phases don't necessarily happen in the order they're listed either. So one phase is the copy resources phase. If you click on that in the detail view, you can see what resources are going to be processed. Here we have a nib file and an info plist. It's going to copy those into our application bundle when we build. There's also the compile sources phase. That's pretty self-explanatory. If we click on that, we can see the source files that we will compile when we build this target. Finally, this target has a link binaries with libraries phase. You can see we have one framework, the Cocoa framework, that it's going to link against when we build this target. Well, we need to link this application target against our Converter framework. And we need to make sure that our Converter framework actually builds some source files that we're going to use. So let's start out by adding the source files that we need for our Converter target to the project. We're going to go to the Finder. And we have a couple source files here already that we've written. You remember how I said the project contains all the files that are related to your deliverable for all the targets in the project? We can just add these files to the same classes group that the other target's source files are in. It'll give us a couple options, none of which we need to change right now, but there is one we do need to pay attention to, which is the target membership. We want the Converter target to process these files, and we don't want our application target to process these files. So we'll make sure just the Converter is checked. Go ahead and finish. And it adds these files to the project for us. Chris is going to quickly fix up the header role for our header, and you can learn more about what that means in one of our later sessions.